Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michelle Peters, Global E-commerce Marketing Senior Manager at UPS. Thank you for joining us today. I am so excited to be your moderator for today's webinar, Create Demand for Your Products and Brand. With over 20 years of experience as an integrated marketer and digital strategist, this is one of my most favorite topics. Every business owner wants to know, in the most basic form, how do I get customers to buy my products and differentiate my brand from the competition? There's a lot to be said in unwrapping that answer. So in today's discussion, we have three amazing panelists from some of the top leading digital companies to help you better understand, where do I start? And what are the most important elements for small business owners to consider on this digital transformation journey? Before we get started with introductions, there's two important things that I want to note. There's a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Please feel free to submit your questions throughout the webinar, and we will answer as many as we can at the end. And any questions that we cannot get to during the webinar, we will respond to you directly via email in the following days. And second, this webinar is being recorded. You'll be able to access this webinar and any previous webinars from UPS at ups.com/webinars. So with that being said, as I preluded earlier, let me introduce this wonderful panel. First, we have Kevin Richards, founder and CEO of Ventura Web Design and Marketing. Welcome, Kevin.
Good afternoon, Michelle. Thank you very much.
Glad to have you. Next, we have Michael Goldmeyer, Director of Sales from Zentail. Welcome, Michael.
Hi, thanks, Michelle. Hi, everyone. Really excited to be a part of this discussion.
Yes, we're excited to have you as well. And we also have Jenny Ross, Strategic Alliance Associate at Yotpo.
Thanks, Michelle. Hi, everyone. Excited to discuss today.
Hi, Jenny. Thanks for bringing in the mad girl power on this panel today. So as you can see, we are bringing the best of the best to you all today. And UPS couldn't be prouder of our partners. All three companies, Ventura Web Design, Zentail, and Yotpo, are just as committed to investing in small business owners as UPS. And that is why they've been selected to not only participate in today's forum, but to be part of UPS premier SMB program, UPS Digital Connections. You'll have an opportunity to learn a little bit more about this program later in our discussion. Today, our goal for hosting SMB webinars is to make sure that you understand UPS is bringing great solutions to SMBs to help you scale and grow your business. One of the ways we do this is by connecting small businesses with the partners, solutions, and funds needed to accelerate their growth. And yes, I said funds. UPS does have funding available to help you integrate the technology small businesses need to grow. I just want to call your attention to the slide that's in front of you right now. It's what we call the customer journey. And on this customer journey, you'll see two different paths, right? There is the gray path, which represents small business owners, those of you who are selling products and services online. And along that journey, you'll see key milestones that are needed to successfully implement your digital ecosystem. Through the middle of that path, you see a blue line that represents the buyers and the mindset of the buyers in their decision-making process. So for today's discussion, we're going to concentrate on the left-hand side of this slide, making sure that you understand how to get started. Where should you be selling products? How should you house those products? And then once you have a great place to house those products, where and how do you communicate? And what are some of the new technology trends that you should be considering in your marketing strategy? So with that, we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. I'll start with you, Kevin. When we talk about having a strong marketing strategy, how does a well-designed website differentiate an online seller and help them strengthen their digital presence?
Michelle, it's a fantastic question. And I think it's important for the audience to think about the website as the beginning point for all of their marketing strategy. Whether you're selling in online channels or marketplaces, or however your business is growing, the website is where it all starts. That's where your brand exists. That's where your customer's journey begins with you and your brand. So definitely as you're starting a new business, the website is one of the key things that we want you to focus on when you're building that new company.
So recently, UPS, we conducted a study with several small business owners, and 85% of those small businesses are viewing selling directly on their website as their primary strategy to enhance customer relationships. So if that's where we're going to enhance our customers and grow those relationships, how can having your online website help build or enhance that brand versus simply selling only in third-party marketplaces?
So marketplaces are great, and they definitely have a place in your overall marketing strategy. Marketplaces, however, are remembered primarily by your customer, and the experience that they're getting by you fulfilling the order is not really helping to build your brand. So that's why it's important for you to not only participate in marketplaces where sometimes it is easy to reach customers, but also be thinking of ways that you can get customers to shop with you directly. And your website is definitely the place where they're going to do that.
No, I like that. And 46% of consumers said that they've shopped on a small business, on a personal.com website in the past year. So, Kevin, I'd like for you to kind of walk us through if I'm a small business owner and I'm thinking about transforming or upgrading my website, or if I'm just getting started, what are some of the key elements that I need to implement to be successful?
Absolutely. So it's important to remember that, e-commerce has generated, just in the first quarter of 2022, more than $250 billion in the US market. And that represents a 3.7% increase over Q4 of 2021. And that's also a 6.6% increase over Q1 of 2021. So e-commerce is continuing to grow, and your website is the place where you want that growth to be taking place. So obviously we only have a short amount of time to talk, so I wanted to focus on really the high level strategy things for the small business customers joining us today. When you're putting together your website, you want to be strategic. And I know I'm guilty of it as a business owner. Oftentimes I get really excited and want to just start go, go, go. And sitting back and planning is sometimes the thing that gets forgotten or skipped over. So what I wanted to give you is 3 key things to think about when it comes to strategizing how to build your online business. First is think about the personas. Who's coming to your website? Who's buying from you? And why? And oftentimes the best way to answer that is to think about what you as a business owner are good at. Why did you get into business in the first place? Why do you love the products that you're selling? Why are you the best one to curate those products together and create the best experience for your customers? That is your starting point. And then think about your customers. What are they looking for? How are you going to help them to solve whatever their problem of the day is? The next thing to remember, we oftentimes forget about our competitors, but it's important to check them out because your competitors are only a click away. Your customers can come to your digital retail store, and if they don't find the promotions they're looking for, if they can't easily find the products that they're looking for, if your site is missing a search function, or if your site isn't easy to use or isn't clean or just doesn't look like it was designed recently, all they have to do is go back to a search engine and they will end up on one of your competitors' websites, and we don't want that. Finally, think about your brand. Think about what really sets you apart from your competitors. I guarantee that if you take a few minutes and think about why you got into business in the first place, what you love about your business, you're going to be able to convey that to your customers through your website and through your other marketing channels. Remember to be yourself. Remember to have your voice. Remember just to put all of that into your marketing, because people will see that. People love small businesses. They love to buy from people that they know, and they love to support you. So those are the three key things I would focus on. Those are the things we always talk about when we're starting with new customers, personas, competitors, and brand. So hope that helps, Michelle.
No, it does. And it's so funny. You mentioned something that has stuck with me over years, right? If you listen to me speak in any forum, I say this every time, but you said people love to buy from people that they know. And it's just one of the oldest sayings in marketing, right? And it's still relevant today. People do business with people they like. So they need to know you. You said be yourself. That is such a key takeaway. Be yourself. So three things here that really stood out to me, and I want to make sure that everybody in our audience understood that was, you got to know that your target audience. Who are you talking to? Who is going to buy your product? Who do you want to buy your product? And is the person that's buying it today the person that you want to buy it tomorrow? So that planning, you said you must plan, and it's interesting enough that you said that's something that's most left out is the planning. So small business owners, let's not forget to plan. And then you talked about the competition, knowing your competition. Yes, Google your product. Or what would you type in the search engine and see who else is popping up and what are they doing and what does their website look like? And if you said put yourself in that other person's situation, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but if you were going to buy, just out of those top three that popped up in the search, would you want to buy from your website? So I like that. I think that's an excellent tip to take away. And then you talked about the brand and putting your identity and your whole self, in it. So just want to make sure that our small businesses is kind of really, if you guys are out there taking notes, eat up some of these nuggets that you're dropping, because I'm loving it where we're at so far. But that's just getting us started, right? Having this whole foundation, having a good website is just getting us started. But we do know that it's very, very important to have an omni-channel environment, if you will. So we have our own personal.com, but we still need these third-party marketplaces, and we want to make sure that we're selling in the right third-party marketplaces. But, right, let's just talk about it. Let's be real. If we're a small business owner, our resources are limited. We don't have a lot of bandwidth, and oftentimes we don't even know what we're doing. We're just concentrating on delivering a good product, but we don't know how to position it properly. And so I'm going to ask you, Michael, a little, thinking about when I'm developing this omni-channel, what are some of the challenges that small business owners face today? And what should they be considering, right? Again, we did a research here at UPS, and we asked small businesses, what roadblocks are you running into in trying to manage this omni-channel world? And they told us when selling on multiple marketplaces, 49% say just managing inventory across multiple platforms is huge. So, Michael, how do you deal with these challenges, and how does, a small business kind of have an effective multi-channel management system to be successful?
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. So I think a couple of things to call out there. Should I go multi-channel in the first place? What are the benefits of it? One thing that actually stood out to me that was really counterintuitive. Oftentimes I have conversations with sellers, with brands, and their hesitance of expanding from the .com that Kevin was discussing to going multi-channel to launching on these marketplaces is that they don't want to cannibalize their own sales. And actually, as in the slide that you just pulled up, you can see that on average, when people add that second, third, fourth channel to their .com, they have this overall lift on their own website. So their cart revenue increases just by having that increased presence. So there's this really significant driving factor for why people want to be multi-channel today. But it is tough, right? It's not just a snap of the fingers, and people do run into challenges. I'd say the most common ones I hear, Michelle, are it's different, right? I got really good at selling on my own website, on my primary marketplace. But when I want to add that second one, it's a whole new set of tools. It's going from Seller Central to Seller Center to a seller portal. They're not the same thing. Not only is it new tools, it's a new taxonomy, it's new categories. I might not even have my product data, let alone inventory data in a structured, centered place to get everywhere into the right format, into the right location on all these new channels. So ultimately what that means is without the right technology in place, adding that additional channel to the mix, it increases the complexity that you're dealing with exponentially. And so many sellers I've spoken with when I first meet them have said, yeah, I'd love to be multi-channel. I've tried it. It stinks. I threw in the towel. I'm just going to focus on what I'm good at because they run into all those different challenges that we just called out.
Yeah, and I want to point this out. We have to overcome the challenge, right? We can't escape it. And here's why to all of our small business owners. Here's why. You have to be able to sell and meet your customers where they are. So let's keep this in mind. Customers that are your buyers, I'm saying customers, let me be clear and say buyers, that potential buyers that are going to buy your product, there are different ways that they're going to try to find you. And so to have one particular channel is probably not going to be that effective. We have different generations, different genres, and everybody likes something different. So how do customers find you? Some people use the third-party platform like an Amazon or eBay as their original search. Some people will use a search engine like a Google or Safari as their original search. So you got to be able to play in all these different spaces. But Kevin, Michael, what I hear you saying is that wherever I'm selling at in 2, 3, 4 different environments, it has to look the same, right? The pricing has to look the same. The product picture has to look the same. The description of the product, it has to look the same. But yet it's kind of like coding. To code that, to make it look the same, the coding process is different for every single platform. So, I mean, if I'm a small business owner, how do I make this happen?
Yeah, so we talk a lot over here at Zentail about listing quality. And I think it also aligns with what Kevin was just talking about with the customer experience. What's allowed you to be successful in the first place? How are you getting those conversions? It's because you have high quality listings, you have a good experience. It's really important that you're able to maintain that to accomplish that on any new channel. But it's different from channel to channel. So I'll pull this up. So being able to kick off this listing quality flywheel is super important, and having that automated tech or the logic to automate what goes where. The most common path that we have for someone is to use really high quality data that they've curated, that they know they've been successful with in the past, and really quickly automatically getting that to the right place so you're able to still maintain high quality listings when you add that additional channel.
And I hear you, but I'm still trying to understand, how do I simplify this? I mean, I got one or two people that's behind the scene. How do I simplify this process? I just can't do it all.
Yeah, that's where having.
What do we do? We're small business owners.
I think that's where having the right technology in place is essential. Like, not even, hey, think about it, but it is really, really hard and impossible to scale your team if you don't have a technology in place that has that structured data available for you, that automatically gets it to the right place, that overall saves you time, allows you to focus on what you're good at, probably procurement, getting that product set up just properly, being able to get a full night's rest to bring your whole self to the office every day, and maybe fingers crossed, go on that vacation that you've been putting out for the past couple of years.
Yeah. So just to recap, I think that's what small business can take away and have comfort in knowing you don't have to do it all. There are companies out there, software companies like a Zentail, that are out there that will manage this for you. And we're just saying, get in the game. Get in the game. Make sure that you can be found in the right marketplaces for your particular product, right? There's several different third-party marketplaces out there. So you want to do a little bit of research to find out where you should be selling, but make sure you're selling in the right space. And then once you decide that, get help. Get someone like a Zentail to help you manage that so that you can get the rest that you're talking about, so that you can take a break, get some me time, on the golf course, and still have this amazing business running for you and do it effectively. And now that we've kind of really established the fact that we need to have an omni-channel presence, right? We need to be able to have our own personal .com page. That's our foundation. That's where we house our product. But we also need to be able to be found in these third-party marketplaces and be visible there. Once someone, we're thinking back to that that customer journey that we showed earlier. Once someone has found you, there has to be some type of interaction or some type of engagement to help our prospective buyers buy from us. If there are 3 companies out there, we're all trying to get that buyer's box. How do they buy from us? And I like what Kevin said earlier, is people buy from people that they're comfortable with or that they know. So we got to improve our conversion rates, and we got to create this whole consumer loyalty piece of it. And a lot of that comes from, leveraging the value in your customer voice. Customers that have bought from you before, think about your core audience. Who's buying from you? Who's repeated buying? Who's been buying from you over and over again? Get feedback from them. Leverage their voice so that other customers or potential buyers can buy from you as well. And what we know from a study is what impacts a brand is how they engage. And when you use something called user-generated content, that is how customers get to know you and want to buy from you. So Jenny, this term has got to be new to a lot of our small business owners that are listening in today. What is user-generated content? Like, what is it? Why is it important? Why should I have it?
Yeah, thank you so much, Michelle. So happy to break this down. So user-generated content, or UGC, as it's known, is going to be any content that is created from your customers that you can use to help boost e-commerce sales. So in the case that we'll be talking about today, UGC is going to be reviews, photos, videos from customers that you can use on site. And the reason why that's important is because customers trust other customers. They trust other customers more than they do, brands and ads that they're seeing. So we're seeing that, when customers are engaging with reviews, it's a great way to kind of get around the fact that 74% of shoppers today are using some kind of ad blocking technology. Reviews are going to make your products more searchable and also give customers that extra boost of trust they need to make their purchase. We're also seeing, about 81% of US online shoppers depending on good reviews to make purchase decisions. I don't know about all of you, but I know when I'm shopping online, I'm certainly looking at different reviews, making sure that the product I'm looking to buy is validated by other customers. So all of that is to say that reviews are really becoming the expectation for online shopping and are a great way to boost trust with your customers. Also wanted to bring up here too, how can you use this content, this UGC, to create a better experience for buyers? And what's a good way to know that it's actually working? So first of all, when customers are able to engage with UGC, they're going to be able to make more informed purchase decisions, which means that they're likely to be happier with the products that they're buying. Once customers are happier with the products they're buying, they're less likely to return that product and also more likely to return to that site to buy that product again. So a couple things to note here as you're looking to see how you can use this user-generated content to help your own sales. You're going to want to keep a couple things in mind. First of all, how are you able to collect a high quantity of really great reviews, photos, and videos from your customers? Then you're going to want to make sure that once you have all this great content, how are you able to showcase that content across your site in different ways that are going to be able to boost conversion rates and actually help boost e-commerce sales as well. And then third, we want to make sure that all of that content isn't just sitting within your site and that it's actually being distributed across all of your different channels. So that could look like adding content into marketing campaigns, Facebook, Google, any retailers that you're working with, so that everyone is able to see the value of what other customers are saying about your products. You're going to know if that content is working if you're seeing reviews, photos, and videos drive traffic to your site. You're also going to want to look at whether that content can help convert sales and push customers to actually purchase. And then lastly, you're going to want to look at if people who engage with reviews, photos, and videos are actually bringing them back to your site so that you can get long-term loyal customers to establish that trust.
Jenny, you just dropped a lot of knowledge on us. And I do mean a lot. I mean, a lot of questions there, right? So let's try to dig deep into this a little bit. Reviews.
Absolutely.
I think traditionally we saw reviews and it's just where we go, we go and there's a statement that someone wrote, right? I like this, or this product did great. That's the old way of doing reviews. Like, reviews have advanced so far these days. Reviews have become to be more of a digital product. And I think it's important. Let's just talk to our audience about this. It's important, and here's why. In our traditional shopping methods, we have this brick and mortar type store. We can walk in, we can touch it, we can smell it, we can feel it, we can try it on. We don't get to do that in online, right? We're not even quite sure when we're looking at the pictures. Is that the light pink, the dark pink? Is it gonna match the shoes I already got? I mean, I was notorious for taking shoes to the store with me to make sure, I can't do that online.
Oh yeah.
So when you say reviews, it's a whole nother world. Reviews are digital videos, so think about the content. On your website today, do you have the old version of reviews? And I'm talking to my small business owners that are listening. Do you have the old world of where you would just put a statement in quotes from a customer? Or do you have a video of someone trying it on, turning around, letting them see how it fits? If it's closed, letting them see how it fits. I saw a commercial the other day on eBay where they were like, we smell these shoes, so it being interactive. I guess that's really what I'm trying to say is you have videos showing customers, everyday customers, not actresses, not paid models, but everyday customers who purchased it, are excited about their purchase, and they're interacting with your brand and with your content. How important is that, Jenny?
That's really important, and you're exactly spot on. So as you're developing, your sites and looking to see how you can use customer input to help drive sales, it's going to be great to use those, more old school, just text reviews, talking about a product, maybe it mentions the quality, the fit, the color, whatever it might be. But it's really great to have that extra added layer of visual proof, if you will. So that's going to be where photos or videos can come in and really make a difference. You want to see what that product looks like in real life with actual similar customers to you using it. And that's really going to be where a lot of e-commerce sites are able to see an uptick in sales when they're able to establish that trust with their customer.
Kevin, let me ask you this. If Jenny is saying, I got to have this user-generated content, right? And now we're not going to just do words. We're going to do video, audio, right? Going back to making sure I have the right website. How do I know my website is optimized to implement these new technology tools?
That's a great question. So one of the first things you want to be paying attention to is your website fast? And your website can be fast if your coding is clean and up to date. You can use some tools from Google. If you search for Google Webmaster Tools, It will give you a grading score on how fast your website is. You can also look at things like website accessibility and cross-browser compatibility. You want to make sure that your website is technically able to deliver the best experience across all different types of platforms. You want your website to be mobile friendly. You want your website to be accessible on different sizes of screens and monitors, whether you're using a laptop or a desktop or even an iPad. So definitely, Michelle, one of the things you hinted to early on was conversion rate optimization, testing out your own website, being your own customer, and checking out what that experience is like. And so that's one of the first things we do with our customers when we first onboard them. We're like, hey, let's go through your website and see what we can find as a customer would find going through. So a lot of different tools out there. And certainly, I think all of us have great websites that you can check out. On ours is venturawebdesign.com/UPS. You can click on the resources and news, and you can actually see a lot of different ways that you can check out whether your website is following the basics and hitting the right benchmarks.
So the other thing that you said, Jenny, was I got to have this content. We just talked about making sure that our website, our personal.com website, is enabled to access this content. But Michael, how do we manage this across platforms though? Like, how do we keep a unified presence across all of our across all of our selling platforms? Are there any tricks or tips that we should be aware of?
Yeah, I think there's an interesting, two things that are coming to a head there. It's, I want to be able to curate my data in a way and present my listings, my products in a way that is best for this channel, because they're not the same A to B, but I also want to keep a consistent experience for my brand, right? So it's tough, and having that flexibility within how you're storing and structuring your data and your images and descriptions, while also keeping the deep item specs for anyone listing online, knowing you probably have learned at this point, the algorithm works really favorably for you if you have those deep item specs that show up in the rankings, and people could filter by that. So keep that back-end data really clean, really structured, know what works for your channels, while being able to curate the experience that you need to for each channel specifically. So it might be overrides or tweaking the data a little bit from channel to channel, but still maintaining really good quality and a good customer experience.
In any good marketing strategy, after we've implemented all these wonderful solutions that you guys have talked to us about, we have to be able to measure the performance. Is the investment that we're making, the tools that we've implemented, are they reaping us the reward that we want? What is our ROI looking like? How do we measure to see? I think you hit it on a little bit, Jenny, is saying that, are we getting additional sales? Are we getting repeat sales? Oftentimes we don't know how to turn marketing into sales. Some of the tools out there, what are some of the top tools out there that we should be looking at, or that we should be using to capture that data and to be able to effectively measure our results? And I probably would start with having a loyalty program, or having some type of consumer survey out there to understand what they're doing. Just talk to me about some of the little tips that we could do to make sure what we're doing is effective. And I'll throw that to anybody on the panel.
Yeah, I'll take a first stab at it, but I think we could all provide pretty solid and different responses. Knowing that what you're doing is working. I also, before I answer that, Michelle, want to call out, be okay. We should be okay throwing in the towel or calling out this isn't working. And I mentioned it earlier, but I have had conversations with sellers early on that say, I've spent 40% of my time trying to get this new channel up, and after 6 months, it was contributing 1% of my sales. So if that's the case, then really deeply evaluate, and it's a return on your time sort of calculation that maybe you should focus on what's working well for you, and you could grow that by a greater lift. But the things that we always call out is, are you putting yourself in a position to be successful? And one of the things that's been really true as we see people expand to new marketplaces is being able to get their entire catalog up on a new channel. I found this interesting that it takes 80% of your catalog to be listed on a new channel for you to start to see that 20% sales contribution. So are you able to get that catalog up? Are you able to have high quality listings? Are you putting yourself in a position to be successful? In which case, that way you could really give yourself a thorough evaluation of your return on investment, return on time spent on any new channel, or in this case, multi-channel strategy.
Now that's a good perspective. Being successful across the entire perspective here. Jenny, Kevin, any thoughts?
I'll kind of take the conversation a little bit in a different direction, but it's still related. One of the things that we really pay attention to is website analytics. And I saw a question come in the chat about that.
Absolutely. I just saw that too.
Yeah, so our key performance indicators are, one, the conversion rate that your website is producing. And so for those who want to know what a conversion rate is, it's a measurement of customers coming to your website taking the desired action. So if the desired action on your e-commerce website is for them to add items to the cart and purchase, we measure that. If your website is not e-commerce related, maybe it's you want them to fill out a form, or you want them to provide you some information about themselves so you can follow up, that would also be considered a conversion. So if you have 100 people who come to your website and 2 of them complete the desired action, that's going to be a 2% conversion rate. And so we monitor that when we bring a new customer on board. We look at what their current conversion rate is, and then we look at what their conversion rate is moving forward, because that's a measurement of how well the changes we're putting in place are affecting their bottom line. Other KPIs we pay attention to is monthly traffic, unique visitors to the website. And then if you are an e-commerce website, which many of you are on this webinar, your average order value. How do we increase average order value? You currently have your average number of customers, or your average customer spending about $75. How do we get them to spend $80 or maybe even $100? So there's definitely ways you can do that. That's right. Exactly.
No, I love it. Yes. Increasing that average order size. That's ultimately the way you want to go. But that doesn't happen unless, like you said, unless they like what they see and they understand, going back to what Jenny was talking about, they understand that your product is good and that other people like using your product. It looked like, Jenny, you had something that you wanted to add.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to, as you're looking to measure, what success looks like in terms of e-commerce here, I wanted to add on, of course, a conversion rate is going to be something really important to track. I would also look at, what is your click-through rate on ads that you're running or social media campaigns that you have. It's going to be important to see how potential customers are engaging with the content that you're putting out there. Also looking at bounce rate. It's going to be looking at how, someone might come to your site. Are they immediately leaving that site, or are they staying and being engaged, in your site? Also, last thing, just wanted to note, what is that repeat purchase rate? It's really difficult to attract a new customer. So once you have attracted them and they have purchased from your site, are they coming back and staying a happy customer? It's going to be really important to look at.
No, that's a very valid point. In our program, we talked about our premier program, UPS Digital Connections. And in our program, we have 40 wonderful vendors. And one of our vendors is in Relo, right? When they talk to our customers, they love to say, that 80% of your sales is coming from 20% of your customers. So that loyalty, that retention customer base is absolutely everything and very crucial to your success, and how you draw in that loyalty and how you keep them buying over and over again. I think it all kind of ties in. And before we get into Q&A, I saw a lot of questions in the chat saying, you know what, these solutions are really great. I want to be able to take advantage of them, but funding presents a problem. And how do I overcome that major obstacle just to even get started? And that's what Digital Connections brings to the table. That's what UPS brings to the table. We have 40 vendors, very similar to the 3 amazing panelists that are on the webinar today, that have the technology solutions that you need. And if you'd like to participate and be able to integrate some of those solutions that we've talked about through the Digital Connections program, we can offer you funding. UPS, when I say we, let me be clear, UPS can offer you funding as seed money to help you get started. And in some cases, may even pay for, you know, half or all of the technology that you need from our different vendors. Our technology that we offer, it ranges from e-commerce platforms and marketplace services, everything that we've talked about today, to demand generating tools, whether that's email marketing, whether that's, you know, user generated content like Yotpo was talking about, or loyalty programs. We offer that through the program, and accounting and payment services, warehouse and fulfillment management software, and then even shipping integration and return services. So I do encourage all of you to go to ups.com. It's UPS. Someone can put it in the chat. It's ups.com/digital-connections, and you can learn all about our program and all about the 40 partners that we have to help you grow your business. So with that, we definitely want to have time for Q&A. I think the discussion that the panelists have brought to us in helping us understand where to get started, how to make sure that we can turn that curiosity of a potential buyer into a sale on our own platform or through our third-party marketplaces has really, you know, kind of piqued the interest. And we want to touch on some of the questions and make sure that we can provide you all with additional insights. So let me just see what questions we have so far, and please feel free to continue adding your questions. Just click on the button at the bottom of your screen. I'm just gonna quickly go here. The very first one on my screen says, what if we don't have a UPS rep? You know what? Just go to ups.com. Let me just show you right here. Guys, give me 1 second, push to the audience. You just can go to ups.com, and we have what's called a virtual consultant. You'll see it on your screen. It says schedule a free virtual consultant with UPS. They will get you in touch with the right person. They will get you an UPS account number if you don't have it, and they'll get you connected with a salesperson to get you going. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Just give me a second. How do you comfortably allocate resources without hurting any progress you are making financially? So I'm going to let the panel kind of take that, and then I'll add in my 2 cents. But the question from Tristan is, how do you comfortably allocate resources without hurting any progress you are making financially?
I think that's a tough question. That's the key to all business, right? You have to decide how you're going to allocate those resources. And I think one of the things that's important to remind everyone is that no business has unlimited resources. So wherever you're at, whatever your starting point is, just know that somebody else had to start from that spot too. So you're not alone. And one of the neat things about UPS is that they invest so much in small businesses. That's what this webinar is all about. And that's what I know Yotpo and Zentail invest a lot of energy in, is helping small businesses, and Ventura Web Design and Marketing does as well. So I'll say, great question. Find what I like to tell customers is, think about a number that you're willing to spend on marketing that is not going to keep you up at night and stress you out, and let's start there.
Yeah, and I think the key word there, Kevin, is starting, right? Where to start. So don't try to take on all of this at one time. If I can just kind of briefly go back to the image that I showed you earlier to our audience. Don't try to take it on all at one time. Where do I start? Knowing what your budget is, what is that number that's not going to, stress you out too much, and like Kevin said, keep you up all night. And then look across your ecosystem and see what is your biggest challenge, and just take one piece at a time. So if your website is performing pretty well, That's where you want to start. If it's not, if it's performing, go to the next milestone. Demand generation. Am I communicating? Am I connecting with the right customers so that I can get conversion sales, so that I can bring in more money to invest more in my ecosystem? And then what does my payment process look like? If the payment process, is it smooth? Is it quick? Is it simple? If you don't have all the wheels and everything that everyone wants today, they want mobile pay, they want, different various easy ways to pay. If you don't have those things, so just think of the things that are causing you to lose business and take it one step at a time. And then is there improvements that can be made in the warehouse? So go through each one of these individually, start with most help needed, looking at that budget, and then go from there. Let's see.
Michelle,
Let's look at another.
If I can piggyback
Yes.
on that answer real quick.
Absolutely.
You made a really great point is how do you make your website easier? And you brought up payments and you brought up mobile, and making your website easy, eliminating friction for your customers is definitely one of the best ways to get them to complete the transaction on your website. And that's one of the reasons why customers will shop in Marketplace too. They're familiar with that marketplace. It's an easy place for them to shop. And marketplaces are oftentimes less expensive than investing in your own brand. But as everyone on this call will tell you, you definitely need to have a holistic approach to marketing your company. You need to be in the marketplaces. You need to have your own brand and your own website, and you have to have a reason for them to come back. You have to have a way to bring them back to the website and get them there also in the first place.
No, that's a good point. You have to have them a way to get them there and bring them back so that they can repeat. Someone asked a good question. I think that we can elaborate on. I think it's Jack. He says, isn't advertising your own website too expensive and buyers just trust more on a marketplace? Great question, Jack. And I'm not sure that that's absolutely true. I'd probably do a little bit of research, A/B testing, if I were you, around that theory. Advertising on your own website too expensive. It depends on what you mean when you say advertising. Are you talking about buying ads and placing ads? Or are you talking about another form of advertising is exactly what Jenny was elaborating to, user-generated content. That's free, right? Because that in itself is advertising. People are seeing and using and understanding, and they're communicating on your behalf. They're your advocate on your behalf about content. And the good thing about user-generated content, and Jenny, correct me if I'm wrong, those different videos and those different loyalty programs and those different surveys, that can be on both, right? That can be on your third-party website, and it can also be on your own .com. So I'll let you guys kind of take that. But I think Jack asked a very interesting question, and I wonder how many other small business owners are thinking the same thing.
So I'll jump in on that too. Go for it, Jenny.
Great, thank you. So I'd love to, kind of piggyback on that because Michelle, I thought that, you brought up a really good point. And looking at ads right now and how customers are interacting with them and what strategy you might want to use with your ads is going to be very important. So kind of referenced this earlier, but the bottom line is that customers are really trusting customers the most in when they're making purchasing decisions. So rather than looking a lot at ads, which many consumers are not engaging with as much, user-generated content is going to be a really powerful tool to help your products be easier to find on Google search. And customers are actually engaging with that kind of content more than they are with ads. So I think that that's something really important to keep in mind. And really the takeaway being that if you can show a customer that another customer loves the product, that's going to be incredibly valuable and powerful to get them to convert to buy that product. So Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, you just mentioned social proof and customers trusting their friends and trusting people that they already know more than advertising, and that's 100% true. And your product is a great product to help retailers with that. So the one thing I wanted to bring up is another answer to the advertising question. How do we prevent overspending in advertising? How do small businesses see the most effective use of their advertising dollars? And so when customers come to us and they want help with Google Ads or Bing Ads or any other type of keyword related marketing, we can focus on two different types of keyword targeting. So you can go after your generic or broad keywords, such as, say, you're a candle website that sells different types of candles. You would go after the keyword candles or scented candles. That would be a broad or generic term. But if you wanted to produce better results, you would maybe go after the more specific keywords, maybe go after the fragrances that you specifically sell. So an example could be orange vanilla scented candle. And if you're going after that particular keyword phrase and somebody's typing that into Google, that demonstrates that they have a high likelihood that they're looking to actually purchase a product from you. Whereas if they're just typing in candles or scented candles, maybe they're looking to learn how to make them at home rather than learn where to buy them online. So there are definitely different ways that you can do your advertising and marketing to produce better results for your small business.
I know that's so good. Making sure that you have the right words in that search, right? Because you like you said, you don't know, and that's you're right. That's what we talked about earlier. Is whatever you think the right words are, go ahead and put that in the search and see what's populating, so that you know how to adjust it. So be your own buyer. Absolutely. Hey, I saw something else that was good here in the Q&A. Let me see. How do you handle a customer that has given a bad review? That came from Jane.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great question. So you're going to want to look for a service that has a balanced approach to reviews. So if you go onto a site and you're looking at a product and all you see are 5-star reviews, it's not going to look totally authentic. So you actually do want to have some kind of balance of, lower rated reviews compared to higher rated reviews. So one of the things that you, I think, want to be extra sure when you're looking for a reviews provider is that you're given the chance to respond to those reviews before they're published to your site. This is going to be a great strategy so that you can hear input from customers about maybe what isn't working on a product, have the opportunity to answer that concern, and then you can also publish to your site your response to that concern. So I think, in short, you're going to want a balance of some good reviews and maybe some lower reviews to give that extra layer of trust and authenticity. And you're going to also want to make sure that whichever platform or provider you look for, they give you the chance to directly respond so you can ensure that they have a great customer experience.
No, I like it. I love it. We have time for maybe one or two more questions. Just trying to go through them very quickly. And these are all great questions to our audience. Thank you so much. We appreciate these. How do you best source UGC, user-generated content, so that it is on trend? So making sure that it remains relevant, I think, is what the question is about.
Absolutely. So to look, to make sure that your user-generated content is up to date and really on trend. I think that any content you're going to get from customers is going to be very powerful. You also might want to look for a strategy that allows you to pull, photos or videos directly from Instagram or allows customers to upload those photos. Having the ability to control which photos and videos and reviews are published on your site is going to give you a bit more help in being able to curate the kind of UGC that your brand is associated with. So I think it is, a matter of figuring out what branding you would like to have on your site and leveraging for your site, and then also making sure that you're displaying all sorts of different types of UGC so that you're getting a really balanced outlook on what customers are saying about your products.
No, thank you, Jenny. And I think for our last question, I've saw it in here, and it's actually my question, and I'm gonna ask the same question to all three of you, and we'll let Michael go first. What is the number one thing that you've seen from an experience perspective, the number one mistake that you've seen small business owners make? And what is your advice to overcome those challenges or to prevent making that mistake? Start with you, Michael, and then you, Jenny, and then we'll end with you, Kevin.
Yeah, this is a great question. Wish I had a little bit more time to think about it, but let me go for it.
It's live.
I'll go with, what are some of the more common mistakes that we see? I think in my seat, I often see people who will kind of dip their toes in a new channel and say like, okay, let me just try one or two products because it takes too much time to get my whole catalog, all my SKUs listed, and then make that decision that it's not worth it and throw in the towel prematurely. Versus, and again, maybe that's the right decision for that business, but versus having that consultation and understanding, how to put themselves in a position to be successful. What does it take? What are others doing? And is it still worth it for me to hit those goals of diversifying my sales mix and growing my brand reach and growing my overall sales on these additional channels? So it's to kind of summarize it, it's not really thinking through planning and investing and how to be successful, but it's experimenting, which works often, and then making a decision to throw in the towel before consulting other resources.
So not being afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Being bold enough to try something new, and then just kind of analyzing it to say, you know what, this is working and this isn't working, and let's adjust. I like it.
We have some core values at Zentail. One is fail fast, learn faster, and another one is commit and persevere. So I think the combination of those two values is really the advice there.
Yes. What about you, Jenny?
It's a great question. So I think that not recognizing the opportunity that you have to drive sales through your customers' feedback, really making sure that that's a priority. Like I said earlier, word of mouth and other customer testimonials are going to be one of the most reliable ways to drive sales. So not investing in the time to get that feedback, and also, use that in your strategy to drive e-commerce sales, I see as a large, potential missed opportunity. Really just comes down to, are your customers helping you sell? And if they're not, I think that there's space there to maybe reevaluate how you're engaging with your customers.
No, absolutely. That's so important. Leveraging the voice of your existing customer. That is your advertisement today. That is how you do it. And that's how you do it in a very low cost method, is leveraging what your customers are saying and driving repeat business. So I love it. And Kevin, I'll let you give us your advice.
Fantastic. Those were all great points. And I will say never throw in the towel on e-commerce. We don't want to do that. It's growing. E-commerce is growing like crazy. COVID accelerated e-commerce growth beyond what we could have possibly imagined. The numbers today in 2022 are what were projected to be numbers for 2025, 2026, and those numbers are happening today. And so my biggest piece of advice is don't try to do everything yourself. I know that as a small business owner, I have been one, I get it. You are the janitor, you are everything. But find experienced and trusted partners like UPS, like Zentail, like Yotpo, like Ventura Web Design and Marketing. Find those trusted partners that can help you. We can share our experience and help you advance your company faster than you can do it on your own. The example I like to give is I can definitely work in my own yard. I can be my own landscaper, but there are only so many hours in the day. And there is somebody who is better at that than I am. So I've hired them to take care of it. So think about your business the same way. find the right partners to help you grow. My customers that have grown the biggest were the ones that focused on what they're great at. They brought their niche, their personality, their identity, their brands to the table, and then they got partners to help them grow and spread the word.
You know what? Well said. And we're going to end on that note. And I want to thank all of our panels for joining us today. You guys were amazing. I want to thank our audience today. Hopefully you took notes. If you didn't, please know that you will receive a recording of this webinar. You can find everything that you want to know about UPS Digital Connections and all of our wonderful partners on ups.com. Thank you so much for your attention and your time today. And we look forward to seeing you in our next webinar. Thank you and have a great afternoon.